This is a Squiz Kids podcast. Your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you.
Hello, Squiz Kids. Have you had a good Halloween evening? Have you been out traipsing the neighbourhood streets, trick-or-treating your neighbours? What did you dress up as this year? A ghost? A ghoul? Maybe a zombie? Well, it's time for bed, my friends. Time to settle in for the inaugural Squiz Kids Halloween bedtime story. With me, your host, Bryce Spooky Corbett. Are you ready? Okay, sound effect guy, cue the scary music and the eerie sound effects as we settle in to hear the tale of Squiz-E and the ghostly glow. Squiz-E the newshound trudged back to his kennel after a long, exhausting day. His job of sniffing out fake news on the internet had kept him busy, and now all he wanted was to curl up in his high-tech detective's kennel, watch a movie, and call it a night. But tonight
was Halloween.
Squiz-E hadn't even sat down when he heard it, the rapid knocking of excited trick-or-treaters. He sighed and grabbed his candy bowl. The first set of kids on his doorstep were dressed as witches and vampires, their laughter filling the night air. Squiz-E smiled, handed them candy, and sent them on their way. Easy. But as the night went on, the knocks kept coming. Pirates, superheroes,
Smells like trouble.
and even a few mummies came by, eager for their Halloween treats. Each time Squiz-E handed out candy with a wag of his tail, but he was growing more tired by the minute. Finally, as the street outside grew quieter and the moon hung high in the sky, Squiz-E yawned and glanced at the clock. It was well past most kids' bedtime, and the neighbourhood had settled into a peaceful, eerie stillness. The trick-or-treaters had all gone home. Finally. He curled up in his bed, ready to drift off to sleep when... thud, thud, thud. Squiz-E sat up, his ears twitching. The knock this time wasn't like the others. It was slow, heavy, and sent a shiver down his spine. He hesitated. By now, all the kids should be home, tucked away in their beds, with their candy stashes by their sides. Who could be knocking at this late hour? Cautiously, Squiz-E crept toward the door, his heart beating faster. He nudged it open slowly, just a crack at first, and peeked outside. There was no one there. The street was empty, bathed in the cold, silvery glow of the moon. Squiz-E was about to close the door when suddenly, from the corner of his eye, he saw it. A faint, shimmering figure hovering just beyond the gate. It was small, barely visible at first, but as it floated closer, Squiz-E's breath caught in his throat. It was a ghost. A pale, translucent figure with wide, sad eyes and a gentle glow that flickered like a dying candle. Squiz-E's fur stood on end. He'd seen some strange things on the internet, but this was different. This was right outside his door. For a moment, Squiz-E froze. His paws felt glued to the ground and his mind raced. Was this a prank? A costume? But no, it floated, its feet never touching the ground. The ghost stared at him, its sad eyes gleaming in the darkness. Then, without a sound, it began to drift away, silently beckoning Squiz-E to follow. Squiz-E swallowed hard. His paws tingled with a mix of fear and curiosity. What was this ghost doing here on his doorstep on Halloween night? And why did it look so lost? With a deep breath, Squiz-E grabbed his trusty magnifying glass, more for comfort than anything else, and stepped outside. The night air was cool, and a thick fog had begun to roll in, swirling around the trees and casting strange shadows across the yard. Every rustle of leaves, every distant hoot of an owl, sent a shiver down his spine. The ghost floated ahead, leading Squiz-E away from his cosy kennel and down the street, where the houses stood dark and silent. The further they went, the thicker the fog became, and soon eerie shapes seemed to dance in the mist. Twisted trees, looming shadows, and the occasional flicker of distant jack-o'-lanterns glowing faintly through the haze. Squiz-E's paws felt heavy, his heart raced, and for a moment he wondered if he should turn back. But the ghost pressed on, its glow growing fainter with each passing second, as if it was fading away. "Wait!" Squiz-E called out, his voice shaking slightly. "What do you want?" The ghost slowed, turning to face him. Its eyes were wide, filled with a sadness that made Squiz-E's heart ache. The ghost raised a trembling paw and pointed to his chest, where a small, flickering light struggled to stay lit. Squiz-E blinked. "Your glow?" he asked, tilting his head. "Is that what's wrong?" The ghost nodded slowly. Squiz-E's fear began to fade, replaced by the determination of a detective on a mission. "You're losing your glow," Squiz-E said softly, "and you need help to get it back." The ghost's eyes brightened just a little, hope flickering within them. Squiz-E crouched down to its level, his voice calm and steady. "I'm a detective," Squiz-E said with a reassuring wag of his tail. "I solve mysteries, and I can help you." The ghost gave a small, grateful nod. Squiz-E thought hard, scanning the dark street. "Where did you last see it?" Squiz-E asked. "Where were you when you started to lose your glow?" The ghost pointed further down the road, toward the edge of the neighbourhood, where the trees grew tall and the shadows were thickest. Squiz-E's paws tingled as he followed the ghost deeper into the night, where the streetlights faded and the only sound was the crunch of leaves underfoot. Dark, twisted branches reached out like claws, and every gust of wind seemed to carry a whisper. As they neared the edge of the woods, Squiz-E spotted something glowing faintly in the grass. He hurried over, heart pounding, and there it was, a small plastic glow stick left behind by one of the trick-or-treaters, its neon light barely flickering. Squiz-E chuckled. "A glow stick?" he murmured. "This must be what you saw." He turned to the ghost, holding out the glow stick. "I think this belongs to you." The ghost floated closer, staring at the glow stick in awe. As soon as it touched the glowing stick, its whole form seemed to shimmer brighter, the pale ghostly figure now softly illuminated by the neon light. The ghost twirled in the air, its eyes sparkling with joy. "Thank you," it whispered, its voice like a soft breeze. Squiz-E smiled, his tail wagging. "Anytime, that's what detectives do." The ghost hovered for a moment, holding the glow stick close as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Then, with a final, grateful glance, it drifted upward, disappearing into the starry sky, leaving Squiz-E standing in the now brightened street, feeling a warmth in his heart. As he turned to head back to his kennel, Squiz-E couldn't help but smile. Halloween might have its spooky moments, but tonight he'd helped someone in need. Never mind the tricks, because that was the best treat of all.